Thanksgiving. I know I did. I spent my entire Thanksgiving with 13 Indians, right? My wife's from India, and her whole family that lives in America came in, and even some people from Canada came in, and we all spent Thanksgiving together. 2 whole days, my house completely crammed, every room full of people, every crevice full of people, constantly cooking, constantly shooting the breeze. I mean, it's just a lot of interactions. To be quite honest, I don't know what y'all did, but that's what I did. So anyway, it got me thinking that I'm always talking about how the American worker really is at a serious disadvantage because they don't want to work, and I say this as a business owner who wants to hire people, who fires people, all these kind of things. And I get a lot of pushback from people, and everyone, not everyone, a lot of people think that, that's not the case. They're an amazing worker, and it's funny to me that, they're always the exception. Meanwhile, me, the guy that actually hires and fires people for a living, doesn't know what he's talking about. I find it hilarious. So anyway, I'm gonna do a little more talking about immigration today. Apparently immigration is a big thing. All of a sudden, there were some National Guardsmen that got killed, and now suddenly, we got Trump talking about cutting off the third world, no more immigration, no more immigrants from the third world, all these kind of things. And I have thoughts on that. I think it's interesting that he's only cutting off the third world. Places like India, which technically are the third world, aren't getting cut off. Places like China, which technically are the third world, aren't getting cut off. They're not going to cut off the people that America needs, right? They're only going to cut off people that America necessarily doesn't need. And that's something we need to talk about. There's a lot of people that we've let into this country over the years that don't deserve to be here. And it's not that, we don't want to help people and these aren't good people, but we don't need them. America is a place of exceptional people, and I think we've forgotten that. I think that's a big problem that we have to reconcile in America. For a long time now, we've been letting in people, again, who don't deserve to be here. They don't belong in a place like America, which is literally built up of exceptional people. That's what makes America so great, is that we try and only let in people who really want to contribute and do amazing things. And it's very difficult to be a country that does that if you let in a bunch of, the nice way to say it would be people of extremely low intelligence and of extremely low usefulness, right? Your society goes from being people who are inspired by greatness and want to do great things to a society that is trying to take care of people and trying to bring people up from poverty that really can't be brought up. Like, it's just, they can't do that in a place like America. We're too far advanced. And anyway, I'm not going to go on about that. I want to talk about things pertaining to immigration and what's really going on with immigration as someone who's married to an immigrant, who spends a lot of time with immigrants. My company is made up of immigrants. And so when people try and tell me that I don't like the American worker and that I'm biased and all these kind of things, I just tell you the truth. I tell you what it looks like from my company standpoint, from my family standpoint. And it's not that I've given up on the American worker, but I've given up on trying to help the American worker so much because I've tried so many times in the past, and it just never seems to work out. And I go over the reasons why. You guys can ask questions in the comments, and we'll talk all about it. But I'm going to start off with kind of what is America? What's my definition of America as a business owner, as a guy who's married to an immigrant, all these kind of things. Okay, here's what I wrote down. I said, what is America? America, it's a collection of exceptional native and immigrant people, right? All working to make America the greatest economic engine in the history of civilization, with the Constitution that drives all decisions as how America will protect that engine, right? So the only reason America is able to do what it's able to do is because we have this amazing economic engine, which is built up of people that are incredibly innovative, people that are incredibly creative, right? People that work incredibly hard and that sacrifice a lot to get where it is that they want to be, or to get their kids to be where they want to be. America is made up of this massive group of people that just want to kick ass and take names. And we've lost a little bit of that, and it's because we've let in so many mediocre people into this country. That's honestly what I think. And if we continue to do this, it's going to be worse for everybody. So that's what I think America is. Okay. Nothing that America does is possible without our economic engine, right? And people can say, we print money and we can blah, blah, blah. I get all that, but the truth is that America is the greatest economic engine the world has ever known, right? Civilization has never known anything like what American capitalism has done for not only America, but American capitalism has risen up more countries in the rest of the world than any other country has ever done in, again, the history of civilization, So it's very important people kind of understand how great America's economic engine is, not only for America, but for the rest of the world, okay? So as someone who, again, who's married to an immigrant who has a company made up of immigrants, people need to understand that there are a lot of corporate interests in America today that are taking advantage of things like the H-1B program. I think a lot of people would agree that we've all seen the pictures and the stories about how people are looking for H-1Bs to do cashier jobs, right? They're looking for H-1Bs to do data analysis jobs, right? They're looking for H-1Bs to just do a whole bunch of jobs that any American could do, right? Any American could be a cashier, right? Any American technically could do data analysis, data entry, these kind of entry-level positions. Anyone can do it. And immediately people say, well, they're doing it for the wages, right? They're trying to get these cheap people in here and they're trying to trap them. And there's an element to that. But the truth is that American businesses have given up on American workers. Like there's no point trying to hire American people for the most part anymore, because it's to find a good American worker is literally like finding a diamond in the rough, right? A needle in the haystack, as they say. It's very difficult, which is pretty much why, as a business owner, the only people I will even entertain in hiring that are Americans are young people. Like, I think that young people have a chance to learn something, to learn skills, to learn things like showing up on time, not being on your phone, respectful communication. Young people have the ability to learn this kind of stuff. The older generation just doesn't have it. Like, your people that are in their 30s to 50s, for whatever reason, they just don't have the skills necessary. And this is why a lot of corporations are bringing in immigrants. Take your typical construction worker, right? The people that do, like, we see the videos of people doing roofing jobs. And the truth is that Americans can roof. My dad used to roof homes, back in the 70s, like, wasn't a big thing. A lot of people I've done roofing, hell, not professionally, but on my own home. But the truth is that the people that do roofing really want to work. Like, they really want to work hard. And this is a big thing that people have to reconcile themselves with. A first-generation immigrant is so excited to be able to work for a wage, to be able to make overtime, to be able to work to send money back home, that he will work his ass off. He will break his back, and he will just go balls to the wall every day. An American will not, and this is something that I've seen over probably the last 10 years. It has just really made it hard to hire Americans. It's like they feel like all they have to do in the beginning is work a 40-hour week. They can do the bare minimum. They're only going to do what you ask them to do. They never want to do anything else. They don't want to learn anything else. It's very difficult to get these people to learn what it takes to be a great employee, right? To be the employee that is recognized to then do whatever the next job is, to become, the manager, right? To be the person, the lead, the guy that looks over, the master craftsperson. Americans are losing that ability. And I don't know how we get Americans to want to learn new things, how we get Americans to want to be really exceptionally good at stuff. And again, I say this as a person that hires and fires people all the time. Like, I've been in business for 10 years now, and I just find it almost impossible to hire Americans anymore. They're just very difficult. And the first-generation immigrant, the second-generation immigrant is just gun-ho. And I think America used to be that way. And this is one of the things that I think is really troubling Americans today about immigration. Most business owners, we see it. Like, I talk to business owners all the time. Like, none of us want to hire Americans. It's very difficult. And I say that, it's a sad thing. I don't say that as like a great thing. I say it as it really makes me sad, because I've tried to get so many Americans to learn how to make furniture. I've tried to get so many Americans to learn how to prep furniture, how to paint, how to do delivery, right? How to ship furniture, how to do assembly work, all these kind of things. And Americans don't want to do it, and if they do it, they're not proud of their job. They're not proud of their work. They're not even looking to become great at it. They're just looking for a paycheck, right? Whereas you get an immigrant class of people, and all they want to do is the absolute best that they can. They want to volunteer for everything. They want to, they're not on their phones, right? They just want to do the best possible job they can possibly do, right? And they volunteer for everything, which is just wild. They do extra things like clean up. Like, I had to clean my bathrooms in forever. I've never asked anyone to clean the bathrooms. In fact, I used to do it. And you hire in the right people, they just start doing it, right? Cleaning up break rooms. Like, I don't even have to ask for the break rooms to be cleaned. They just clean them up. The shop just gets cleaned up. I don't have to tell somebody to clean up. If I need something to get done, I tell people to do it. They just do it. Americans don't do this stuff, And again, I say this as somebody who is not happy about this, but I feel like business owners won't talk about this kind of stuff. I don't know, because they're afraid of being called racist, or they're being afraid of being called anti-American, or they're afraid of being called just any number of things. It's too bad. It really needs, we really need to be able to talk about this kind of thing, because in all honesty, all I want to do is train Americans, give Americans opportunities to make money like I did. Like, as somebody who never graduated high school, I was able to figure out how to make good money. Like, I've always owned my own homes. I had any cars I ever wanted, been able to go on any vacations I ever wanted to go on, because I always worked hard and showed up on time. And that's it. It wasn't that I was an exceptional furniture maker. It wasn't that I, had an exceptional upbringing. I had all the educational opportunities. None of that. It was none of that, guys. It's just showing up on time, doing a good job, and volunteering for everything you possibly can. That's it. It's nothing special. But getting the average American to understand this today, especially the lower class and the lower middle class people, it's like pulling teeth. And we've just given up, and the truth is, this sounds terrible to say, but if I have to pay taxes, I'd rather pay taxes and let all these people be on welfare so I don't have to fucking deal with them. And that's a very hard thing to hear. I would much rather hire those people, but I can't tolerate them. They're not good for my business. They're not good for my culture. They're not good for anything. And until we can come up with a way to educate these people and teach these people that they can do more with their life, they don't have to be on welfare. They don't have to jump from job to job to job to job. They don't have to fight with their coworkers. They don't have to bring everyone down around them. They don't have to be on their phones all the time. Until we can teach these people how to do this stuff, I don't see how you fix it. And it really bothers me. So that's the conversation for today. It's like, why is there so much immigration in America? What is leading to this? And it's an honest conversation about how immigration really works in America, why we have so many immigrants here, and people think that it's where everyone's just looking for low wages. And I'm here to tell you guys, it's not. No one's looking for low wages. Small business owners don't want to pay their people the least amount of money possible. They don't want to create shitty environments or places to work, and only immigrants are going to take low wages and crappy work environments, and Americans just aren't going to tolerate that stuff. It doesn't work that way. Immigrants are paid just as well as Native American people, if not more, and the fact that they volunteer for everything and make the business run better, they make the business easier, they make it more efficient. They do all these things that Americans could do if they wanted to. These people get to reap all the rewards. And I'm here to tell you guys that immigrants are going to bypass all of Americans when it comes to doing just regular work, middle-class work. Because nobody wants to deal with this group of people who don't want to work. Who always have an attitude, have just tons of family drama, and can't seem to get their shit together, no matter how many times we tell them how to do it, no matter how many times we try and help them, no matter how many times we tell them it's going to be okay, we'll help you, they don't want it. And I don't know what that is. And it's very hard to have a conversation with people about this, because people get offended very easily. And I don't understand why people have this crazy chip on their shoulder about America, right? And about immigration and all these kind of things. And the truth is that we've done it to ourselves. So that's why we have so much immigration here. We've done it to ourselves, So anyway, I wrote down a bunch of things about immigration. That's kind of my spiel about what I think is going on with immigration today. And the truth is that American businesses are tired of dealing with Americans, so bring in the immigrants. They're super grateful to be here. They work their asses off, and they reap all the benefits. They get all the money, they get all the bonuses, they get all the opportunities, and Americans don't. And it's just as simple as that, So, who do we got in here? So this is Chara M16 here. Good to see you. Glad you're here. Add to the conversation if you got something to say. If you guys are just looking for highs and things like that, fine, no big thing. I try and do these talks every now and again, but we'll start off our conversation here about what's going on with immigration in America today, since it's such a hot topic today. So my name's Eric Wolf, and I own the Resplendent Crow here in St. Louis, Missouri. We're a furniture boutique company. We do about 500 pieces a year. And we are a small 7-figure business. We have about maybe like 8 or 9 employees now. So we got several employees. We are known for our high gloss lacquer coating. We do a ton of high gloss lacquered furniture. We also make boutique stain grade furniture. We're known for making very high quality furniture. We're known again for our very high end lacquer coating. And we're a company that's been able to scale up literally out of our garage. So my wife started this company in a 1.5 car garage in Creve Coeur, Missouri, which is right here in St. Louis, right? I came in like a year later and helped her grow this business into what it is today, where we've got I was on like 15,000 square feet, like I said, 8 or 9 employees, and we've turned this little garage idea into a full-blown business. And anybody can do this stuff. It's not rocket science. It's not luck. It's just having a passion for something you really like, doing it, getting really good at it, and then growing it, whether it's through advertising, word of mouth, just being on things like Etsy, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. All these platforms allow you to grow an idea that you have kind of organically, to be honest with you. And it can turn into something. You just never know. But you got to do it, right? You got to try. You got to put it out there, and it takes time. And time's the thing that defeats most businesses. Most people go out of business because they aren't, they're not watching their bottom line. They become a little bit complacent, right? They're not watching their product. And time kills most businesses, you know. But we've been here for 10 years, so I think we got a good business. So I think that I'm a pretty good authority on how you guys can do this as someone who never graduated high school, right? I didn't need to go to high school, right? I just got really good at making furniture and cabinets, and it's turned into where now we do, you know, millions of dollars a year in furniture sales, and it's a good business, you know. So, okay, so something I wrote down. Again, I'm talking about this as someone I just spent Thanksgiving with 13 Indians, right? My wife's from India. Her entire family came in. Lisa one's living here in America and in Canada. And we all spent Thanksgiving at my house. And we talked a lot about these kind of things and what's going on. And I listened to these people talk. And the funny thing about it is these people, they all work for great companies like, you know, like Apple and Google and all these kind of things. And it's like, well, why are these people here? Like, what brings, you know, why is this person working for Apple as opposed to maybe an American? You know, and again, as someone who never wanted to be in tech, I never wanted to sit behind a desk. I never wanted to do any of that kind of work. I think there's a lot of our population that is like that, you know, and again, everybody was pushed to go to college. All these people went to college, they learned nothing. They just got into a bunch of debt. Now they're super pissed off. Whereas people like me, I never went to college. All I did was just bust my ass, try and be a good employee, learn as much as I could, and parlay that into something that's, you know, above average middle class living, right? It's a good living, and I think more people are trying to do that. I think that's going to be good for America when we realize, as we are right now, that we need more plumbers, right? We need more framers. We need more people that work in the housing industry, more people that work in the construction industry. We need more people that can, you know, pour concrete, that can build bridges. I think that's going to be really good for Americans. You're going to see a lot less foreign workers doing those jobs. But we have to teach people and tell people that it's not the job that you need to get good at. It's showing up on time. It's having a good attitude. It's being able to volunteer for things. You know, it's how about keeping yourself not looking like a slob, right? Not having a poor vocabulary. Like, learn to speak, read the room, these kind of things. They will take you farther in life than you realize. But these Indian people that I was having Thanksgiving with, they all work for these great companies, and they do these jobs that are really difficult, you know, and they're talking about like what it is they have to do. And what I'm hearing from these people is these people never stop working. And that's the thing. You know, I think as Americans, we've become a little bit complacent where I think, well, I should just have to work 40 hours, and when I come home, that's my time, right? When I'm not on the clock, that's my time. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to make $250,000 a year, it never turns off, right? If you want to be a business owner, it never turns off, right? When I go home, I got all my engineering work to do, right? My wife needs help with sales. I got to look at plans, drawings, schematics, all these kind of things. You know, it never gets turned off. We're always answering questions. My wife is doing sales 24/7, right? These kind of jobs that make a lot of money are not easy jobs. They're not jobs that you can just turn off, right? It's very difficult to make a lot of money, and I don't think people understand just how difficult it is, and it's supposed to be difficult, right? Because America, like I wrote down here, is made up of people that want to kick ass and take names, right? And if you're one of these soft, mediocre people, I'm sorry to say, you ain't gonna cut it. You know, you're just gonna have to work a little bit harder, and you're gonna have to focus on getting really good at something. You know, so, you know, I'm sitting there, I'm listening to these people talk about what it is they do. Their work is never turned off, you know, but these people make insane amounts of money. You know, it was really wild. Like one of the people that was at dinner, they drove up from Texas, right? And along the way, they decided they were going to buy a new BMW. Not just any BMW. They bought one of the SUVs that's an M edition, like 130 grand. Just decided to buy it on a whim on the way up here to drive a new car, okay? That's what these people are doing. That's the kind of money these people are making. And Americans could be making this money if they weren't so goddamn, like, I don't know what the word is. It's not complacent, but it's almost like entitled, maybe just a little bit entitled. Like just because you went to college and you got a degree doesn't entitle you to a job. These guys have come over here, right, on this, whatever, it was H-1B, H-4B, whatever the different, there's also an L program as well. They come over and they had to produce, right? And if they didn't produce, guess what? They're not going to get to stay here, so they have every incentive to produce. We as Americans, we already live here. We have access to everything, right? We speak the language. We can go to college anytime we want. We can live anywhere in America that we want. We can cruise around to any state that we want and take any opportunity that we want. And too many of us just don't want to do that. And so when I listen to all these immigrants talk, that's what I hear. It's like these guys are just going to town. Like they take every opportunity they can and they just crush it. They live and they breathe work until they become good enough and well-known enough where they work that they don't have to crush it as much. They can dial it back just a little bit and kind of enjoy the spoils of all that hard work. But I don't hear that from Americans anymore. I don't hear about Americans, busting their ass 60, 70, 80 hours a week, doing one thing and getting so good at it that they're undeniable where they work. What I hear is that my employer hates me. I hear from employers that the employees hate us, right? It's one of these deals where nobody likes anybody, and we're constantly at each other's throats. Employees don't want to stay with the company for any more than a year or two, right? They're always looking for the next opportunity, and employers don't want to hang on to their employees, right? Because they know the employees are going to leave, so they're always looking for new employees. And it's this, nobody wants to trust each other, and nobody wants to help each other get better, as a company or as an employee. And again, as an employer, the people that nobody's worked for me less than 5 years. Other people work for me like 8 years, right? I've only been in business for about 10 years. So most of my people stay with us for a long time because we take care of them. We want them to buy homes. We want them to grow their skills, learn to do new things. Like I've got people that I hired as people that sand furniture that make furniture now, right? I've had people that we've hired that sand furniture, that paint furniture, right? We've got people that they've delivered furniture forever. That's all they want to do. I've got furniture makers that came in from Syria, right? Became American citizens and now make furniture for me, right? So we've got all these people, but what I don't have working for me is I don't have any Americans, which bothers me a lot because these people don't want to work. They always show up late. They always got some family drama, car drama, can't get off their phones. They love to live stream while they work and show everybody what they're doing. That's fucking weird. But they just don't want, you try and teach them new things, they're not interested, They only want to do what they want to do, and they just want to be left alone, and it just bothers me. So what other option do we as business owners have? We can't find the employees. The employees don't want to work for us. They think we're all assholes. What are we supposed to do? Like, we're going to hire immigrants. It's not like my business is going away, right? That's not going to happen. Because again, I'm the guy that will work 70, 80-hour weeks, do whatever I got to do. I will hire whoever I have to hire to make things happen. And our only option is to hire people who want to work. And unfortunately, it's Americans that don't want to work. So listen to all these people talk. It's crystal clear to me the problem that we have here in America. American businesses need people that want to work, whether that's Americans or immigrants. And the truth is that the Americans don't want to work. And the lower you go down the income ladder, the worse it gets. And again, we're trying to fix this by taking these people and teaching them new things and bringing them in and trying to show them another way, but it's almost impossible. And it becomes a futile effort when you're like, well, let's try to hire this guy. That didn't work. How about this guy? That didn't work. This guy, no, that guy really fucked us. He was okay, but we can't keep him. Then you hire one immigrant, and it's just like, this guy's amazing. He does everything. And you can't have a society of native-born people when you have an immigration population that's clamoring to come into America, and businesses that need workers. Like, you guys understand how this works? And I would love to hear somebody tell me what the solution really is. Because this is what I do on this channel. I talk honestly about this business, about how I make money, how I make things, how I hire, how I fire. I talk about all these kind of things in the hopes that it helps people to want to be business owners. It helps people to want to take that chance to hire somebody, give them a skill, give them a trade. Take the chance to want to try and sell something to somebody else. Because the truth is that when you run a business, you have to be nice to people. You can't be a dick, right? You have to show up. You have to be the example. You have to learn how to network with people. And when you have more people that own businesses and do this kind of stuff, it makes everybody play nicer together. Because you can't be one of these people that doesn't show up, that has a poor attitude, that's disheveled all the time, family drama, and be a business owner. Your business won't work. So that's what I do in this channel. Okay, so go through my comments real quick, and then we'll continue on with some more observations about having a Thanksgiving with a bunch of Indian people who, a lot of them were here on H-1B visas, a lot of them are now naturalized American citizens, and that's a whole other thing. People talk about the great replacement theory. Immigrants are replacing Americans, blah, 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 okay? So we'll talk about all that kind of stuff, because I got thoughts on all that. And another thing that bothers me, I'll get to comments in just a second. Another thing that bothers me is when we get on the news and we listen to all these pundits and commentators and the people on X that are always talking about immigration. Most of these people don't know anything about immigration. They only know what they've researched. They only know what other people have told them. They don't live with immigrants. They don't operate with immigrants. They don't hire immigrants. They just live in this bubble that doesn't really exist for most people. It doesn't really exist in the real world where we have to actually make shit, right? My cabinets, I can't talk for a living and make these cabinets just materialize, right? Somebody has to actually make this shit, right? Those legs, somebody has to turn those legs. Somebody has to cut out those doors. Somebody has to make the hinges. Like, it takes a lot of people actually making things to make this world work. And when you listen to all these pundits and people on television talk about how horrible immigration is and we just got to deport everyone and all these kind of things, there's a lot of truth to it, but at the same time, they're talking about it from a perspective for which they know nothing about because they haven't lived it. It'd be like one of these people on YouTube making videos all the time trying to tell me how to run a manufacturing business. Like, they have no fucking idea. They make videos, they do content. They don't make anything. They make one thing over the course of probably a month so that they can make a video about it. I got to make 50 things a month. And so it's very different. And that's, again, why I do these streams. Real business owner, making real stuff, having to deliver real products and high-end products at that. It should be good content for people. So, okay, let's see, who's in here? So we got, let's see, S. Mark Wands is in here. I'm not sure you said there, but that's fine. And we got, who is this, Revo9Y4G? Good to see you. I guess that's some kind of a hello sign, but anyway, good for you. Okay, continuing on. Let's see here. So some of the things that I hear about immigrants versus Americans. Okay, I wrote down a bunch of things. One of the things that I've noticed about immigrants, as again, someone who's works around them, is married to one, all these kind of things. Immigrants in general, whether they're low class or high class, they all seem to lack the creativity aspect of America. And I don't know why that is, but if you guys have noticed, immigrants are all high-level managers, pretty much, or they're like tech workers, or they could be doctors, right? You might even see them as engineers, right? But they're not creatives, right? These aren't people that start businesses. These aren't people that are coming up with new ideas about stuff. They're just not, and I don't know why that is, but what I think the reason for that is that because they were in a third world or another country, and then they come to America to do a thing, right? You spend enough time here in America, you become one of these innovative people, right? America just breeds innovators. It breeds ideas because we have time, right? We have space. We have access to the world's knowledge, the world's resources, the world's capital. We have all this stuff here, which allows people to create just a myriad of things. And immigrants don't have that. Take the guy that runs Google now. I believe he's an Indian, right? Didn't found Google, runs Google, right? You got Microsoft, the guy that runs that. Again, didn't found Microsoft, great at running Microsoft. You've got, I guess you got Jensen Huang, who's I believe is an immigrant. He's the guy from NVIDIA. But again, he didn't create NVIDIA. NVIDIA's been around forever. So there's something about being an American, living here in America. We're very good at creating stuff. We're very good at coming up with the products today that will propel the world for, generations. And so immigrants lack that. And I think as more of these immigrants come here, do these jobs, have kids, their kids get interested in things, by the time you get to the second, third, fourth generation immigrant, you end up with people who are actually very creative, very innovative, and have a lot of ideas about what they want to do with this great American society we have here today. You know, so that's one of the things I noticed. Not a lot of creative people, but extremely well at managing, extremely well at doing specific kinds of jobs, and just incredibly intelligent when it comes to those kind of things. So other things I wrote down. I heard that illegal immigrants lead to exploitation and welfare of the economic engine. Okay, so this is another thing that nobody probably wants to hear, but there's levels to immigration, right? You've got intelligent immigrants and you've got retarded immigrants. And unfortunately, that's how the real world works. And a lot of people don't like to hear that kind of stuff, but the truth is that America has the smartest people because we have the best food, right? We have the best technology, we have the best access to resources. You have intelligent people in Europe, and you have intelligent people in whatever, Japan and Singapore, and there's plenty of places where you have a lot of intelligent people. But we're importing the dumbest people, a lot of the dumbest people. We go to a country, we fucking destroy it, and then we immigrate all their people here, right? Yeah, like we create a problem, and then we solve the problem by bringing all those people here. Well, those people are not intelligent. They're not gonna learn what it is they need to learn in order to operate in American society effectively. And people don't wanna hear that, but it's just the honest to God truth. So the thing that makes America great is we import the smart ones, right? We import the ones that can contribute quickly. Because if we don't, these people end up on welfare, right? Which means we gotta grow our government, we gotta grow our taxes, we gotta grow the amount of money that we give to these people in the hopes that they will become productive members of society. And I'm here to tell you that they won't. They're not gonna become the next, Jensen Huang. They're not gonna become the next Elon Musk. They're not going to do this. They don't have the intelligence, and maybe in a couple of generations, their kids might have it, but they're not going to have it. And again, super unpopular thing to say, but it's, from what I've seen over the years, it's just the honest to goodness truth. So you got to be careful who you import because it just doesn't work out well for us as taxpayers, right? As people that are innovative and want to start businesses and give people jobs. Other things I wrote down. Trump just, here, I guess, maybe a month or two back, he added this $100,000 fee for H-1Bs. Now that's gonna be awesome, right? Where you see these people, these companies that are looking for service workers, right, under the H-1B program, which is fucking disgusting. That $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year job is now gonna be $150,000 a year with this fee. So that's gonna be really good, because the truth is that when you bring in an H-1B, it's supposed to be for something that we don't have here, right? Or we're not very good at. That's what it was intended for, and it's been abused forever by businesses. And so closing that loophole, I think, is gonna be good. I'm sure business will find a way around it, but it's at least something, which is good, which means we get the highest talent possible, right? So if you're gonna bring in an H-1B, that person's gonna be super talented because you're gonna be paying a $100 fee on top of their salary just to get them in here, right? These are the kind of people that we want in America. We don't want the people from Somalia and Uganda and the Congo and, I mean, hell, even China, right? You don't want these people here. They're just not good for our society. It takes decades to get these people to be productive, to get their kids to be productive, right? And they just end up being a leech on America. And America's not that. America was never meant to be because we're the richest country in the world, doesn't mean that we're supposed to be the babysitter for everyone. We're supposed to be, because we've colonialized everything, that we're just supposed to bring all these people in here and pay for their existence, right? America is not supposed to, it never was meant to be that, So I think the H-1B thing is going to be good. Companies are not going to be able to, hire data analysts and people who, like I said, work in the service sector, people who want to be cashiers. Like, we've seen all this kind of stuff. It's disgusting. And just the fact that there's any network or system that lets those kind of jobs into the H-1B visa system just shows you how broken it is to begin with. So we'll see what happens there. I don't know if it's going to be a good thing or not, but let's see here. Some of the other things I wrote down. Okay, I'll tell you guys a story. Okay, this is a story. Again, after spending the whole holiday with a group of Indian people, right? So one of the things that was funny was that, and my wife's this way too, like, I grew up in Oregon, right? I grew up hunting, fishing, camping, outdoorsy kind of things, building forts, going into the mountains, swimming in the lakes, boating, all these kind of things. It was a pretty cool upbringing. I didn't have a lot of money. We weren't a rich family, but when you live in a place like that, it's just all around you, so it's cool. So I would talk about camping and all these kind of things and how I wanted to go, the Teton Mountains and all that. And my wife, no interest. she could give a shit. She's like, why would you want to go go to a place where you have to sleep on the ground and shit in a hole? Why would you want to do that? I said, we have no running water, no electricity. And her family, everyone that is in this group thinks the exact same way. Like, they can't even stomach the idea of camping. They're like, why would you go from having all these great amenities, in America, to not having them by going camping? And so I had to kind of chime in a little bit and give these guys some perspective and basically explain to them, it's like, well, when you live in India, you don't have running water 24 hours a day. You don't have electricity 24 hours a day. And people don't understand this, but there are still rolling blackouts in India, right? They don't have enough power to supply all the power for their country. They don't, So you have periods of time where you'll have power. You won't have power for 4 hours a day, 8 hours a day. Like, this stuff happens. The other thing they have there is things like that we take for granted, like liquid natural gas, right? LNG. They have propane tanks there that get delivered, like stuff like that. It's very different kind of life there. And so I had to explain to them, like, hey, you know what, you guys, like, you're here in America now and you have it good. Like, I've had it good my entire life. Like, I've had this stuff, I've never not had power all the time. I've never not had access to food and water and transportation. And I don't have to ride on trains filled with people all the time. Like, I've always had it great. So I've been able to go do these things. And when you have it good all the time, sometimes what you're looking for is a little bit of hardship, right? And they just can't wrap their heads around that, which is hilarious. So, like I said, I had to go in there and just say, like, look, guys, like, going into the woods, off the beaten path, right, and camping, whatever, 10 miles up the river, and seeing black bears, seeing rattlesnakes, killing deer, swimming across the river, like, where you got a plan. To start on one side, you got to plan where you want to end up, because the river's constantly moving. So as you're swimming, you're going to keep moving downstream till you get to the other side. And trying to explain this stuff to these people, they can't get it, So it was funny listening to them talk about how ridiculous camping is. And I'm sitting there listening for like probably 10 or 15 minutes and all that. And finally it's like, hey guys, the American's going to talk now because I'm the only one. So yeah, and I think they kind of got it. And but they still aren't quite there. They want to see these guys. They want to see a moose from a car. When they're going through Grand Teton National Forest. They want to see a river from a boat. But they don't want to camp on the river. They don't want to go kill the animal, to get food. They don't want to do any of that stuff, So they got a ways to go. Immigrants have a long ways to go here in America to appreciate what makes our culture so great. But I think they're getting there. There's so much difference between a first-generation immigrant and a second-generation immigrant that by the time you get to the second generation, they're almost completely Americanized. They understand how work is, they need to pay taxes, meritocracy. They understand a lot of these things. And by the time you get to the third generation, it's, they're completely Americanized. But it's only necessary because we as Americans just don't want to work anymore. We don't want to do the hard work. And it's too bad. It really bothers me as an American who wants to hire people, wants to teach people stuff, wants to teach young kids things, wants to show people how to make stuff, how business works, and wants to teach people what it's like to be really good at something, to be exceptional at something. It's just, they don't want to learn it. Meanwhile, the immigrants, that's all they want to do. They just want to be the best of the best of the best of the best. And until we can figure out how to make more Americans want to be great at stuff and to want to do what I consider to be the bare minimum to get that opportunity to be really good at something, we're just going to continue to be where we're at. And businesses are going to continue to pay off politicians to bring all the immigrants in here to do the work, because hiring Americans fucking sucks. It really does. It's no good. If I have a choice between hiring an American and hiring some kind of an immigrant, I'm going to look at the immigrant first. I don't want to do it, And so the only Americans I'll consider hiring, really quickly are people that are under 20 years old. If you're 21 and under, I'll absolutely look to hire you, because you haven't been mind fucked yet. You haven't been beaten down by the world. You haven't, had all of these bad habits developed. You haven't developed all these debts, all these poor skills. We don't have to unlearn so much stuff. So yeah, that's kind of where it's at on the immigration thing. Until we get more Americans wanting to do the work, businesses aren't going to hire Americans. And it's, again, I hate to say it, it's a sad thing to say, but I don't know what we do, and there's not a lot of people commenting this particular topic, which is fine. I haven't done these lives in quite a while, to be honest with you. I'm sure that doesn't help. But I don't know what we're going to do to get more Americans to want to work, to get along with other Americans. Like, people just, when they're in the workplace, almost like they don't want to be around each other. They don't like working with other people. They want to be left alone. There's not a lot of camaraderie with the other employees, and it's just a big problem, So, all right, last couple things. Let's go through my notes here, see if I missed anything. Let's see, college is wrapped, 2 generations evil. Americans don't look up to. Oh yeah, okay. So another thing. Here's the last thing I'll say about one of the things I think is really hamstringing Americans when it comes to making money, when it comes to getting really good jobs, to beat out a lot of the immigrant workforce. We as Americans, we don't look up to wealthy people anymore. We don't look up to people that are really good at what they do. We don't look up to business owners. We don't look up to the people that drive the nice cars, have the nice houses. In fact, it seems like our attitude has changed to where we think, oh, that guy fucked somebody to get there, right? That guy, stole this from somebody else. That guy, oh, he must hire illegal labor, and that's why he's rich. We look at the guy that has a really nice house, and we think that, oh, that guy must have money, right? His parents must have money. He must have generational money, family money, all these kind of things. We don't think, I wonder what that guy does. I wonder what that woman does, right? I wonder how they got that car, that house, that business. I wonder if I can do what they do. We don't aspire to be like these people anymore. In fact, the people that we look up to are the most disgusting, depraved people like in our society. Looking up to people like rappers and stuff like that. Like, these people are not anybody you would want to look up to. In fact, the culture is disgusting. We're not interested in becoming what made America great, which is hard work, grit, like insane amounts of grit, and just, idiotic determination. We're not interested anymore. Everybody wants the easy button. Well, I'm just going to be an influencer. I'm going to get on OnlyFans, or I'm going to get rich on YouTube. Nobody thinks like, I'm going to start a furniture company, or I'm going to start an automotive company. I'm going to go repair cars. So I better find a guy that knows how to repair cars and learn how to repair cars. Or I'm going to go to school and learn how to repair cars. Or I'm going to go to a business that repairs cars and see if I can start there as the guy that sweeps the floors and refills the masking tape every day. We don't think that way anymore. In fact, we think, oh, fuck that business, fuck that guy who's successful, and I'm just going to go do my own thing. And come to find out, like, you can't do it on your own. Like, the idea that you had of becoming a YouTube influencer or an Instagram influencer doesn't work. You're looking at the 1% of the 1% of the 1%, when you should be looking at the 10%, right? The 10% of people that just get up, work hard every day, run businesses, manage people, create products and services. That's who you should be looking up to, and you're not. You're looking at the 1% and the 1% and the 1% and thinking you're going to be the same thing. And I'm here to tell you guys, you're not. Immigrants, they don't want to be any of that shit. Immigrants just want to come in and do the best job they can. If they want to roof houses, they're going to be the best roofer they can. If they're going to, sand furniture, they're going to be the best furniture sander they can. If they're going to, work behind a grill, they're going to become the best grill man that they possibly can be. And that's all they care about, is being the best version of whatever it is they want to do. And they'll go to the place that they have to go to make money, and then they'll learn how to do that, and they'll work to be the business owner, right? They'll work to do it for themselves. And it's that entrepreneurial spirit that exists in all third world countries that is huge here in America, that we've got to get normal Americans to try and do. So again, I don't know if I have the answers. That's just kind of how I see it. And I know a lot of people don't necessarily think like I do. But again, never graduated high school, never went to college. Been married 3 times, moved all over America. The only thing I've ever done is make furniture and cabinets. The only thing I've ever done. I've worked in aerospace. I did aerospace for 15 years. I've traveled all over the place. I'm working on the most luxurious planes you could ever possibly imagine, right? I've done all the work for all the most famous people, the wealthiest people, all of them. And Now I'm here in St. Louis, running a furniture company with my wife, and got great employees, got a great business, and these are my observations. These are the things that I've seen based on the experiences that